So a little bit about me. I'm a mom, I have 2 girls, both of which did not want to be in the building material industry. They said I worked too hard, so they're both in the healthcare field. But I work for 84 Lumber, but I also started a podcast a couple of years ago called Women Talk Construction. The reason I did it is because when I was in the field for 26 years, there were very few people that looked like me, and I felt really alone. And if I had had somebody like me back then when I was younger to support me, my journey would have looked a whole lot different. So that's why I had a passion to start the podcast. One of the things I do for 84 and that I really focus on is helping women get certified if they want to. So a lot of people don't know what that means. You know, why should I get certified? Well, one of the reasons you should get certified is because of ESGs. If you don't know a lot about those, kind of take a look at that, Google it, see what you can learn about it, and then you can make a decision as to whether or not you want to do it. What we do at 84 is we provide this guideline for a way to get certified. So these are kind of steps that we found that were the easiest way to get certified that cost you the least amount of money. So we do workshops regularly where needed, and just let people know that there are certain places that you can go. If you Google Women Business Enterprise Certification, you're gonna have about 2,000 actual options to click on. And the ones that are on the top are the ones that are charging you anywhere from $2,000 to $8,000 to help you get certified. It is free. You do not have to pay somebody to get certified. So I can send you this, but this is also on the breakingbarriersforum.com. When we started a podcast, we wanted to find a place where all women could hook up, talk to each other, find jobs, give jobs, and we are starting to post a lot of information about things that are going to make and help women and minorities grow. So there's a few things here, and I'll just go over it briefly. The Small Business Association, the SBDC, they actually have a district in every single area of every single state, sometimes several districts, because if it's a big state, they're gonna have several offices. You call those offices, and there's counselors there that are free, they're paid by our government, that will help you walk through getting certified. Now, once you get certified, or you determine which certification you want, because now there's a plethora of them out there, they'll help you decide which is best for you. Minority, women, disadvantaged, so many different options to choose from, but they will walk through with you what's best for you, and then you get to decide. The best part about that office too is they're gonna give you a workbook, and you're gonna start filling it with everything you need to get certified. That particular workbook, when you're finished, is gonna help you at the bank, if you wanna get certified nationally, if you wanna do business with a government contractor, if you wanna do business with a large company. You'll have that workbook and all the information that those folks need to do business with you. So the next thing, the next step, the first link that I've got up there is an example of a large construction company called Messer Construction. We do a lot of business. We did $87 million in revenue last year in our WBE department, just me and one other girl. So Messer Construction has a supplier diversity goal, meaning they have goals for their entire company to meet every single year. If they don't meet those goals, their regional project managers do not get a bonus. So the goals are, I think this year is $175 million. They have to spend $175 million a year with women and minority-owned businesses. Messer does. There are so many other companies out there that are doing the same thing, but they kind of led the way. So that's why I use them for an example. So if you've got project managers on a job that are required and they can't get a bonus if they don't use women for suppliers, for contractors, then they really start paying attention, right? So that we were seeing some really big changes happen because Messer was making those kind of guidelines. That last link that I have up here, there's actually 2 links there. One's APAC, and it is actually a government website that lets you just kind of, it guides you, there's videos there, it tells you how to win a government contract. So also, those counselors on the federal side are also free. You don't have to charge, you don't have to pay somebody to help you get government contracts. The other link there is called Ascent, and that program used to be upwards of $7,000 to take. In 2021, the government decided, oh my gosh, there's not very many women making more than $1 million of net revenue. We've got to fix this. So they made that class there free. I know a lot of women, I'm friends with a lot of women who went through that class who are making way more money than I am. We're talking millions and billions now. It's very, very, very informative, and it really gives you a good idea how not only to start your business, but how to prepare your business to be equitable to the master constructions and government contractors. All right, enough of that. So I'm gonna give you some cool stats. So there's power in good data and insights, right? The companies that are gathering this data and insights are Master Construction, Whirlpool, GE, 84 Lumber now, Builders FirstSource. Those companies are gathering data and insights, and the ones that are seeing they're outperforming their peers by 85% in sales growth. You know what that means? More margin, 25% more margin. So what that means is the data and insights that we're learning from being a woman-owned business, from what it takes to learn how to be a woman-owned business, to participating as a woman-owned business, those companies that are focusing on that are making a lot more money because it matters. And there's a lot of women out there doing business in our industry, even though it doesn't look like it sometimes. All right, so one of the trends we've been tracking is how the role of women is changing. Does anybody think it's changed in the last 2 years since COVID?
Yes.
Significantly, right? 61% of young women in the US say challenging traditional stereotypes of their gender is important, and also in their personal lives. So it went from being empowerment, right, in the last few years, to now we have power. We now, for the first time in the history of the world, have more opportunities than we've ever had as women in our entire lives and in our grandparents' lives. Yay! It's a great time to be a woman, for sure. So women are incredibly influential, but they have a lot of shoulders to respond. They have to shoulder a lot of responsibilities. 86%. These stats kind of blew me away. 86% of women are responsible for purchase decisions in their household. 88% are the main nurturers, and 92% of them are equally supporting their family with revenue. Who's making the decisions to buy a home?
Women.
Women? Who's making the decision what to do, put in their kitchen? Women. Every purchase in our industry is influenced by women. So, I'm going to switch gears for a minute. I told you a little bit about Women Talk Construction and why we started it. One of the things that we felt was important, I was mind blown when I moved into this role, working as an executive for 84 Lumber, that there were so many badass women out there really doing a great job building. And we also have a lot of vendors out there that are really doing a lot of great things too. When we start looking around and seeing things that are different than what we're used to every single day, we're gonna find some really good diverse vendors and builders. So I just wanna share that Alicia Huey was one of our podcast guests, and her message was never forget your message. We have several people in the Professional Women in Building group that we have interviewed. And really the interviews are all about like what they do. We don't focus on us, we focus on you, what you're doing in the community, and how you have built your business. Kristen Meyer, she's here today. She's a badass shutter bender. And her shutters are absolutely beautiful, but hers is do it differently. She's done a lot of things starting her business differently, and she is PWB chair this year? Vice chair, okay. So please listen to our podcast. It's really gonna inspire you. That's what we did it for. Judy Tanell and Molly Appleman. Yay! Judy's back there. Do it differently. So, you all know the house that she built. That's Molly Elkman that actually got that moving for us. And Terry Everhart, I am. Her message is about I am. So I wanted to spend the last 15 minutes, and please visit our website and social channels, but I wanted to spend the last few minutes really answering questions. I think I'm better at that because that was a whole lot of information I gave you in just a couple of slides about being a woman-owned business, about why it's important, and maybe why you maybe want to consider it. Anybody have any questions? Okay, so I planned for 15 minutes. Somebody's got to ask me questions. Okay. Thank you.
What do you think? You've seen all these successful women in the business. What do you think stands out about the ones who have done really well in their careers?
So one of the things, that's a really good question. So one of the things that was kind of my eye-opening for me, working with men, I never sold to a female when I was in sales. When I started working with women, they didn't hold a carrot over you, right? Like if you bid on my job, I might give you the job. Women were more upfront. They were telling me, I don't want you to bid on this, I've already given it to somebody else. And I don't want you to bid on this job because I've already given it to somebody else. So it was really nice to see that they were very matter of fact, right? There was no, hey, I just want you to keep my buddy honest kind of thing going on, right? It was like, hey, I really want to give you an opportunity where you bid this because I haven't sold that yet. The other thing I really loved about them is they were organized, very organized. So yeah, that was kind of an eye-opener for me. Women are going to change, they're already changing our industry, but the more we see women step up and take roles in leadership in our industry, you're gonna see a big shift happen. Even the men now are seeing the same thing. Because when I took this role 3 years ago, they were like, I don't know. Now they're like, hey, you got any women over here? Who you got in Western California? Who you got over here in Ohio? Do you have any minorities over here? So they're like, they really understand the value of working with women. So that's been really cool to see that shift happen in 3 years. Yeah?
What sector is most promising to women to work in?
I think all sectors are really promising for women right now. The big thing about ESGs, if you don't know a lot about them, is that that's where all our money comes from to build everything in our country, right? It's either the government or it's investors. Even these Meritage homes, how many houses do they build a year? A lot of homes. They've got investors telling them where they can spend their money. And most of those investors put this ESG program into place, which means they're environmentally conscious, they're socially conscious, and they're governmentally conscious. So me as a supplier, if I'm not helping women or supporting women or helping the workforce, these investors are telling the Meritage people, you're not buying from anywhere, you're gonna buy from somebody that's socially responsible. So I think that's something to really think about. A lot of government opportunities, however, and that's the reason we are we're certified in 35 different entities, 84 is. And we love it, but the government game is a long game, right? It takes a little while to learn it all, like the Ascent program I had up there. It takes a little while to learn it all, but once you learn it and you build a relationship with the procurement officers, you really are in the door forever because they don't want to train the next person, and they need women. So the government is supposed to be hitting 5% of their revenue is supposed to be going to women. In the last 13 years, was it, Judy?
Yeah.
They hit it twice. So it's serious now. Now it's not just the government, but these big companies with all the money that are making all the investments, they are also saying, hey, enough's enough. We need, and it's not a matter of being a woman, hey, hear me roar, like we're so great. It's more about we bring something to the table that nobody else brings to the table, which is details. It's just a different perspective, right? Having a diverse team of people on your team makes you better when any investor or any client is looking at you. It's really important. I always say that, I'm a believer and my faith is really strong. And I think God put men and women together because we are equally important to make all the decisions, right? So together we're better. I used to work with male salesmen that literally, the clients that we served together would look at us and go, this is the greatest team ever. Like, I was good at the details, he was running out to the job checking beam sizes, I was back making sure the invoices were invoiced right. You know, it was just really a great team. I did miss being in the field though when he took over the field jobs. But anyway, it's just, we make a great team together. Any other questions?
How do you think that we can get more young women or girls interested in entering the field?
So I'll just tell you what I'm doing. I know that's why you asked me. You know, having a podcast has been a really big benefit. We are this close to having our podcast in school, so it's G-rated. We don't say badass very often. Once in a while it'll slip. But we think that, we know, right? When you see it, you believe it, and then you know that you can be it. So those are the reasons why we started the podcast, on top of the fact that we needed to highlight all these badass women that are good at what they do. But we don't just interview women. We interview architects, we interview people in tech, we interview men that are supporting women teams, and they're doing a great job at it, because for a certain period of time, there were a lot of our builders that were coming to me saying, hey Christy, how do I get more women to stay with me, right? How can I retain them? How do I get them to come, and how do I retain them? And after about 45 coffees, I'm like, I thought they all wanted to do business with me, right? So I'm meeting them for coffee. Next thing you know, I was like, Angela, we gotta start a podcast, because we can just talk about this every day, like why it's important and what women need. And usually it's simple. We just need somebody to literally just cheer us on. Sometimes we just need to know that somebody's there if something happens, and we can talk to them about it, right? There are a lot of things that happen, and we all know it, right? We're all in the industry somehow or another, and there are a lot of things said to us, and these young girls just don't know how to address that. And us having a voice and making sure that they know that we're there for them, we're there for them, right? If they've got a question, we get questions all the time. I was asked to go in the backyard with one of our subcontractors the other day, and he got me back there in the corner and I didn't know what to do. What do I do the next time that happens? Those things happen, right? But also, they come to us and say, nobody respects me where I'm at. Okay, so let's talk this through. What are you doing? Well, I'm doing my job. Well, what else are you doing? Are you spending too much time gossiping while you're there during the day? Are you dissuading other employees to do different things, you know, that may make a manager not take you seriously? So, I mean, we've had some really hard conversations. I think it's okay to have those here. But there's been times that we've asked, you know, what are you wearing to work? Do you want to be taken seriously? Then you need to be dressing professionally, right? It does matter. And a lot of these young girls just haven't had that. Yeah. A lot of young girls just haven't had anybody to teach them that either, right? It's not that they don't want to, but they haven't had anybody teaching them.
So, broad question, how have you seen the state of our economy impact women entering the field?
So it's not changing too much yet, right? It hasn't changed yet. Actually, the needle was moving before COVID hit, and then a lot of women went back home, right, to stay with kids because their husbands were working. So those numbers really have they've really kind of leveled out because they dipped when COVID hit, and now they're on their way back up. But the fact that we have the ESGs, the fact that we have so many people and organizations focused on helping women enter our field, for the first time in my career, I have men on my team that are really excited about what I'm doing. When I started this, they were like, please keep it quiet, don't tell everybody what you're doing, you know? But now they see, you know, we've got a lot of women customers, because why? Because we respect them, and we care about them, and we want them to get good pricing, and we want them to have a seasoned sales associate, not a guy at the counter that doesn't really know what they're doing. There's small things that we've done that really have helped women grow. So to answer your question, the mentality of it is changing for the better. Have we seen the revenue needle move yet? I think it was $1.8 million in revenue last year, women-owned businesses generated in our industry. So that's a pretty good number, but it isn't significantly higher than the last couple of years. Any other questions? Yeah.
Oftentimes women value the personal connection, you were saying like social well-being and that kind of thing. And traditional leadership trainings and models are kind of based off of men, right? They previously held the power, they could make money, they could vote, they could do a lot of things that women couldn't do. They created these standards for what leadership looks like what we expect out of a leader. So I guess in terms of leadership within a company or maybe otherwise, who do you look up to or who would you suggest we turn to for something that's a bit different?
There are some great organizations out there, and Professional Women in Building is one of the best. I think whatever they have, whatever they are bringing to you is going to be one of the best educations that you can be involved in. A lot of the organizations are starting to do that, but PWB has been doing it for a long time, right? They started a long time ago. So that would be my first place. Join an organization. If you don't have a PWB in your area, which it would be sad for you if you didn't, join
She
an,
doesn't have one.
okay.
We're gonna start one.
Okay, well, National Association of Women in Construction is a great place to find women like me that really just want to pour into the next generation. ABC, some of the Associated Builders and Contractors organizations have a group for women too. If you don't have a PWB in your area, that's good. To be honest, pretty much even the men have been really good. Like there's men in this room. Thank you, by the way, very much. These men are also going to help you, right? You can go to any organization and just reach out to some people and say, hey, I need a little bit of mentorship because I don't know what to do in this situation. And I didn't have that, so I have a passion for making sure that we are able to answer questions and to ask. I'm still asking questions, right? I still run into things on a regular basis that I'm either calling Judy or I'm calling, somebody else I know that's in an executive position that is facing something similar. So it's really great to always have, what did somebody call it the other day? A personal executive board of directors. So it's like you have somebody for your family, or for your kids, like your friend for your kids, and then you have your friend, you have your mentor for your marriage, and then you have a mentor for things. So I think that's a really good place. It's just finding an organization that does a really good job of supporting the women in their organization. Did I answer your question? Okay.
I just had a comment to add to
Okay.
your response to getting respect. And for myself, I think it's a matter of thinking like a man as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised by a family member who's been in the industry for decades. Real smelling hard ass,
Yeah.
demanding, so that kind of infused into my personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognized what he would want. And just straight ahead, no fluff, get to the point, solve it, get it done. He also said there's no problem, just tell me what you need.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, we are a lot different. Like my boss, I'm the only female my boss has ever managed, I think. And sometimes he's like, "Hey, could you bullet point that, please?" As I'm going, blah, 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 blah. So they do. They need information in smaller doses, right? And they want us to be direct and not like beat around the bush. And to be honest, after being in the field for as long as I was, I'm like that now too. Like if you have something to say it, right? Don't beat around the bush about it. So we tend to sort of, yeah.
Okay. There's a good amount of my sales force who are female and they're thriving and they're awesome. And I'm trying my hardest not to steer towards all female.
For a number of reasons.
But it's, they're, and the youth in it, as far as the energy, the excitement, the detail, all that. Whenever they go away from maternity leave, a lot of them aren't coming back, and I'm sitting there with them, taking stuff to the hospital, and I'm going, they're coming back.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money in the industry, so if they've been there 3, 4, 5, 6 years, they'll hold it and stay at home, and it is devastating.
It is
And
devastating.
a lot of tears from me.
Yes, I
But
can see that.
what
Because
kind
there's a lot of work
can
involved.
we create or help foster to make it easier salesperson gets used to a salesperson's
Right,
project.
right. But once that customer gets used to that salesperson, he's gonna work with her no matter where she's at.
Right.
So does she have to be present when, right?
The customer, no, but a prospect, yes.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
so there's different involvements of, we're not quite virtual yet in the world of
Yeah.
where we are. But I didn't know if there's something you can think of that, or you've seen work in the past where it fosters.
Just hybrid, giving them that option. You know, we talk to a lot of young girls all day, every day, and we ask them what do they want. You know, what's it gonna take for you to wanna be in the industry? Because it is a 70-hour work week industry, right? Gosh, I can't believe I said that, but we are. And just knowing that you can create your own schedule is huge, right? Nobody's making it for you. Like, you can figure out when the kids have to go to the doctor, when you have to breastfeed, you can schedule meetings around that, you can do hybrid meetings when you can, right? Because I'm still doing this, and I'm not breastfeeding, I'm way past that. Not going there either. I would jump off a cliff, I think. Yeah, don't wanna go there. But yeah, just waking up in the morning and knowing that you've created that schedule for the day, yeah, things are gonna come up, but I think you could just be flexible with them and just say, hey, you know, let's see if this works, and make it a time frame. This is what I would want if I were your employee, especially if they love it, evidently, where they're at, right? So you got one up on a lot of places I worked, because I didn't love it where I was at. But you just go into them and saying, hey, let's see how this works. Give it a 3 to 6 months position, right? That way you gotta weigh out if it's not gonna work for you too, because you're an owner, right? You're a, yeah.
Director of sales.
Okay. So you need to make sure that that's gonna work for you too. But then she's also gotta weigh out as well if it didn't work out quite the way she wanted it to, and just see how it goes.
We have 52
It looks like
super
you have-
weekends a year. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's the weekend situation
yeah.
that kind of puts us, I don't care if they show up Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
You don't get me wrong, I do.
Yeah, right. You have to adjust, right?
But, it is those weekends. that's kind of tough.
Yeah, the weekends are the toughest, especially when you're trying to run a family.
I would add to that, because I was let go for trying to work part-time, because 12 years ago, there was no less flexibility. So offering the flexibility, and also offering less hours. I know every mom in this room knows that we can get more done in 30 hours than most men can get done in 70. And so being able to say,
But we still think we
okay,
have to work seven.
yeah, I was told that at 32 hours, I couldn't get a full week done. You know, hold my beer, I got this. And so just allowing, not micromanaging, and allowing them to leverage their skill set of the details and everything, because they can get a lot done in just a few hours. But yeah, I like the idea of asking them too, like, what does this look like for you? What do I need? And then finding a combination.
So, and I was just gonna add, along the same lines, you know, my son is 17, but 18 years ago, I negotiated with my employer at the time an extended FMLA, because FMLA says, oh, you get 12 weeks. Well, what people don't know is that that is flexible. So I made my FMLA last 22 weeks, because I started coming back at 1 day a week, 4 hours. And then I increased, I had 2 days at 4 hours. And so my job was flexible with me to get me back to where they needed me on my schedule as a new parent. And thank God they did that, because I was gonna murder myself if I was at home with an infant 24/7 without the opportunity to go back and get that break. So you might find that if you give them the easy way to come back, they'll want to come back, versus thinking that they can't come back because they can't make the commitment to come back. So give them that cushion, and it doesn't cost you anything more to let them try it out and figure out whether they're a stay-at-home mom or if they're a working mom. First-time moms
I've implemented
especially.
intermittent FMLA, right?
Yeah.
Trying my hardest, like, go back, but it's been, yeah.
First-time parents are a completely different ball of wax than like second and third. We're-
Second, baby, you're throwing in the Well, and something else to think about too, I mean, I had a child when I was 25 and then again at 42, and I forgot what it was like anyway, we won't even go there. But just the fact that I felt like I couldn't, okay, so it's internal for women. I mean, it's important for the men to know this, right? It's internal. I felt felt like once I had that baby at 42, can't even remember what happened back when I was 25, I wasn't gonna be capable to run at the 100-mile-an-hour speed that I was running before. So it wasn't, did I really wanna go back to work, right? Like, you kind of have to nurture that, what's going on inside of them too, because they're already feeling inadequate. Oh my gosh, I have this little thing I have to take care of that I can't breathe if I don't do everything right. And so just being there for them, having conversation, how you doing? How's everything going? That's gonna make a huge impact on whether they wanna come back to work for you or not. Just because you are, hey, you're gonna be great. What do I do to help you get a little bit further, right? What do I do to help you feel comfortable coming back to work? Because I know this isn't easy for you. And just being empathetic, I think, goes a really long way too. That was a good point. You had a great boss.
They couldn't live without me.
Yeah.
Well, actually, just to add to that, in our area of Maryland, we're working on a lot of quality child care.
Mm.
And when you get an employer, and quality child care is relative to what the mom and dad, feel is quality, right? But if you subsidize that, you're investing in your employee, and it increases the retainability of an individual and the performance. So if your child is nearby, I know corporate daycares are really hard to come by these days, but they provide a high quality of care, and the health of the mother and the child tend to be better. Like, there's less sick days, less PTO
Yep.
days.
Yeah.
They've shown that consistently. So we're trying to work on policy for small mom and pop shops in our builders association to give them a co-broking opportunity, because it's really important. It's hard for small businesses. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
for
your
sharing
economy
that.
will go
That's
up.
awesome. Yeah, absolutely. If we nurture these women who we want in our industry, obviously, it's gonna change the entire economy of our nation, right? Because they're not gonna feel like they have to stay home. They're gonna feel like they can go to work and they can do something they wanna do and not have to go to an office where they feel like they can go back and forth and do whatever they need to with their kids. Thanks for that question, because that was helpful. I appreciate it a lot.